welcome to Movie Ticket Stub, where we'll be talking about movie related topics and the movie theater going experience. This week, I'm going to be talking about my own movie theater preferences. I realized 2 episodes in that I haven't really talked about what I like most about movie theaters and just kind of share some of my experiences. So I'm going to do that now. So, I'm trying to break this down into 3 different sections. So, we'll talk about the coming attractions, which are just our movie theater preferences and movie theater going experiences. We'll talk about a main topic and then we'll do kind of like a one last thing, our post-credit scene before our coming attractions. So, some of the things that I really look for in a movie theater. I'm chain agnostic. I don't have a particular theater that I go to. However, it's all kind of based on time and it's based on price. There used to be an AMC or there used to be a Regal Cinema by us that I went to a lot that had less expensive prices. They had a variance of different showtimes, but it just and nobody hardly went to it. It was actually a theater where you didn't have to pick where you sat, which I kind of miss those days sometimes where you could just go and just pick a seat and just call it a day. But for the most part, there's a theater by like a local Marcus cinema that we usually go to. There's a classic cinemas also not too far away from us that we go to as well because it's less expensive. It's usually less crowded. So that's typically what we do. Where do I like to sit? I like to sit as close to the aisle as possible because I hate the idea of having to get up in the middle of the movie if I have to pee or if I have to, get something else to drink and cutting across people. So I stick to the aisles. I know that's not always the most conducive way for me to watch the movie, but at the end of the day, I'd rather take the convenience of just getting out of or getting to the aisle seat and just go from there. In terms of who I typically go to the movies with, there's usually 2 groups of people that I go to the movies with, and that's my kids slash family, and then I got a group of friends that I usually go to the movies with. Uh, so there's like I have little pockets of friends where we'll go see some of like the bigger movies, like your MCU movies, your big tentpole movies, your Nolan movies, different things like that. In reality as well, a lot of times I go to the movies by myself. I love going to the movies by myself. It is something that it just allows me just to kind of chill out and relax a little bit so that I don't always have to be beholden to other people where I have to chat with them afterwards. I could just get my thoughts out on Letterboxd after I watch the movie. So yeah, I go to the movies by myself quite a bit. Snacks and drinks. So I'm somebody who it very much depends on where I'm going if I'm going to get actual food at a movie theater. So in terms of the regular things, I usually get a diet soda with some type of, oh, I don't know, like some type of large popcorn, just the butter topping. I don't put any salt or other flavors on my popcorn, but butter topping. And then if I am feeling it from a snack perspective, if they've got them, I will do peanut butter M&Ms, but a lot of places don't, so I'll just do regular M&Ms. But I'm also somebody who really enjoys Bunch of Crunch as well. I think Bunch of Crunch is pretty underrated, so I really enjoy that. In terms of the sound and the screen preferences, I typically I'm going for the most economic options. We don't have a big IMAX screen by us. We've got like a super screen or like just like a big screen over by one of our theaters. And then, yeah, we don't really have an IMAX theater close to us anymore. The closest theater that we did have to that closed. So that sucked. But yeah, I hardly ever go to like the super screen at the movie theater by the mall by me. I usually just go for whatever is closest and whatever is the least expensive. You're not going to catch me clapping, shouting, cheering during a movie. I do not like audience participation in the movies. There have been a couple times where I've been caught up in the moment. I will admit that. And there have been a couple times also where if there's something that I like, I'll talk to myself, but I'm not going to clap. Like, clapping is an absolute no-go. Shouting, sometimes cheering, sometimes singing along, depends on the movie, but we'll see about that. I've been to my fair share of different theaters. If I could think of like a favorite theater, I love the ArcLight in downtown Hollywood when I lived there with a couple of my friends. I did really like that Regal Cinema that was by me, and then I also want to give a shout out to the drive-in movie theater experience as well. I remember growing up, that used to be like a huge part of my experience when it comes to watching movies. The closest drive-in theater is now like a county over, but it's still really popular, which I loved. So that's something that I really enjoy. And then my movie theater hot take. So, I mean, this isn't really so much a hot take as like a well, duh. Like, I don't go to the movies that often because it's expensive to go. So if they want me to go back to the movies and not just prioritize the movies that you typically go to see at the movies, like your Marvel movies, your animated movies, your, action movies, different things like that, lower the ticket prices, lower the price of concessions, and then I will come back. As for our main topic, I'm going to do a list of some of the movies that I've had my best theater going experiences with, and I'll share a couple stories. So I did want to shout out a particular theater. I used to go to the Musicbox Theatre in Chicago quite a bit for midnight movies. I want to give a shout out to my friend Iris, who first introduced me and a bunch of my friends to this theater. She would take us to this theater when no one else would really take a group of us to go. So I loved going to this theater. It's just going to see some of these movies on the big screen was just a lot of fun. I've seen movies there, like I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark there. That one's probably my favorite, the favorite movie that I've seen at the Music Box. I've seen the movie Army of Darkness there, and Army of Darkness will go down as one of my most fun theater going experiences because that one is truly and 100% made for the fans. And I think people really enjoy that experience a lot. I've also seen some movies there that I'm like, this probably wouldn't have been a great idea for me to see here for the first time. So I saw the movie Brazil there, for example. I saw the movie 12 Monkeys there, which it wasn't my first time seeing it, but it was one where it was kind of hard to keep track of it. And then the one other one that I really enjoyed going to see there, it was in the smaller screen, the smaller theater, but saw The Princess Bride there as well. So like those are just some examples of movies that I've gone to go see at midnight with some friends, and that's just it's a wonderful experience to go to an independent theater like that, to support them and to go and just experience it with the fans. They play, currently right now they play a lot of like independent films, or they do some like festival movies at like during the day, and then at night they usually pick the crowd pleasers. They play tons of showings of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I want to give a shout out to the Music Box Theater because those are some of my favorite music movie going experiences that I've ever been to there. As for some stories, so some stories of some of my theater going experiences. I have gone to, or when I've gone to my fair share of the movies, but I've only dressed up as a character to go to one movie, and that was Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. They were the movie theater that we were going to. They had a lot of different promotions and they had some contests for anybody who wanted to dress up as a Star Wars character. And my sister and I decided that we were going to dress up. She dressed up as Princess Leia, and I dressed up as R2D2. I got a laundry basket, one of those pop-up ones that you could like had like the domed top. It was a pretty awesome costume. I'm not going to lie. And I want to give a shout out to my sister, who's the one that pretty much took care of most of it. But I would go around in that, I would go around in that costume and people would cheer. I had a little flashlight that was going around. So that's the only theater that I've gone to, or the only movie I've gone to where I've dressed up for it. I went to go see Scream 4 in Washington, D.C. There was a theater in Chinatown. I had the night off and I wanted to go to the movies, so I wanted to go see Scream 4. And right at the moment where they're just about to reveal who the two killers were, a baby starts crying. A baby at a Scream movie. Just hideously inappropriate, but I still remember just that was one of the theater going experiences that was absolutely ruined by like kids in the theater. So that was quite the fun experience. And then the last one that I have is that when I lived in California, we went to when the ArcLight didn't have the movie that we wanted to go see, or there weren't times available, we would go to the New Beverly. It's, just a small couple screen theater. Just we went to go see like movies like Get Him to the Greek and Shutter Island there. And during our showing, or like right before we were about to go in to go see Shutter Island, we saw that Quentin Tarantino was there. And right behind him was Eli Roth. And just the amount of people that were there just like wanted to say hi. That was just awesome. So those are some movie theater going stories that I've had. I'll probably share quite a bit more coming up soon. Finally, our post-credit scene, a movie that you wish you saw in theaters but didn't slash haven't yet, because there's plenty of opportunities where you will get a chance to go like see a movie in theaters because things get re-released, things, different things like that. And for me, the movie that I wish that I had saw in theaters, but I'm fairly confident that I didn't. Probably, it's a good question actually, because it like I don't think I've ever seen Back to the Future in the movie theaters, and that's one where I wish I would have gotten a chance to go see in the movie theater. So that's my answer for that. But I'm looking forward to continuing these conversations with people to talk about their movie theater going experiences and continue to talk about movies. That's going to do it for this episode of Movie Ticket Stub. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X Threads, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Check out our website at spdmcrew.com. Check out the other shows on our network. We're really proud of the content that everyone's making. So please check out the other shows and continue to support the crew. And if you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM Crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. And now let's let the credits roll.